Everybody got, they're all set? Everybody's on. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Life. My name's Linda Bown. I'm your host, and I have the brothers Gitschier here. I have Councilor Erik, and of course, Regional School Committeeman Lee Gitschier, who also works for Verizon. So, how was your meeting last night? Let's jump right in. No, how are you? Nice to see you.
It was a good meeting, but sometimes everybody has a difference in opinion, so things can be testy at times.
But I had Kim on last week, and I know it is. I know that you've got 11 people that all are coming from different points of view, but you've been pretty good working together. You do, it's very congenial and it's civilized.
I think if you want the best decisions, you have to have different opinions on subjects. So I think that's what brings people together.
Oh, I agree.
But there are days where people get along, and there are days, like any family, people are disagreements. So I think it's important in government to see both sides and make a decision that is in the best interest of the city.
Well, if
What did you give away the land for?
The land was given away for.
In the Hamilton Canal, wonderful, we're gonna have a bazillion jobs, and Lowell's gonna be freaking fantastic. What's gonna be Orlando, the new Orlando, Lowell. How much did we give us? How much?
I'm glad that we released the executive session minutes, because somebody released information into a packet before we released any minutes. So it's nice to see that we can actually talk about this now, prior to other people talking about it, even though it should have never been in writing before the minutes were released. But when you look at that plan over there, what happened is Mr. Lopoli had the property under an LDA, which is a land disposition agreement, and he had the land, and the agreement was a 12 to 14 story building over there.
How many thousand jobs ago?
In the new LDA with the new person,
The Hamilton Canal District.
one parcel, 3 or better. It kind of goes back to that parking agreement with the MBTA where it said,
3,000, you're talking?
no, 3, number 3, one,
Three
number
people?
3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
3 people?
Yes, 3. And the other parcel is 7.
You have more custodians in City Hall than.
We took businesses out of there that had more people in them.
I don't understand.
So that's-
What kind of business is that?
It's basically a 5-story wooden structure building that's going to be built with 200 and up, at least 270 housing units built at market rate. So that's what they're building, with 10,000 square feet of commercial. So it's gone from 13-story building to that, and then the excuse is that, materials went up, the economy changed, but the same builder increased all of his building in Littleton and Haverhill. So when you look at it, you say, materials went up there, right? So why is Lowell not good enough? And I think we don't put enough weight on Lowell and sell it enough to say,
How much-
stop paying
How
here.
much government money did he get in Haverhill and Littleton, and what's he getting in Lowell?
Yeah, I don't know that number out of those two, but even if you had to in the upfront and you were getting those type of buildings, then it would be marketable that way.
Because in Littleton's on King Street, I believe. That's a big lot. It's the old, I think it's the old IBM.
Yeah, it's the old IBM.
It's a big piece, and I'm sure he's getting money.
Who got the contract?
Currently?
Well,
Or Lopoli had it.
he had it, but
was the build.
who's going to build this thing?
Cabot and Forbes.
Okay.
So basically what happened is Lopoli defaulted on all the agreement that was initially put in place. The city solicitor and the city manager said that the language wasn't strong enough to hold anybody accountable. If that makes any sense.
Is this the solicitor that wrote the contract?
No. No, of course you can blame the last administration and everyone else, but the language wasn't strong enough to hold anybody accountable. So Mr. Lopoli, you can do whatever you want with this property. So he came in, and the original agreement was 12 to 14 stories, and he said, well, you know what, I can only afford to build 5 stories, which is totally different than anybody ever projected for the area. And then after that, he came out with what he wanted, which was a 20-year TIF, and, you know, and tie, and he had 5 stories, boom, boom, boom. The city council, no Lapoli, we're not doing this, we're not doing this. Okay, but we're gonna do it for Sal's friend, who he handpicked to take the project over. So they're saying he had the rights to the property to sell it off to somebody. So Mike and I call Mike and say, hey, Mike, I can get you a nice deal here, 5 stories, you know, hey, you know, you can have 270 units of market rate, and well, I'm gonna get you the TIF and ties that you want. Oh, okay, I'm in.
Deal.
So deal, done. Done deal, backdoor deal, here we go. Nothing in the public, everything in executive session. We didn't have a right to pick anybody.
Hey, don't forget my 10% under the table.
So you didn't pick this guy?
We didn't pick this guy, we had no right in telling him what he could pick or do. He came back and told us exactly what he was doing, and that's what was accepted. And the reasoning to it is we want shovels in the ground, we need to build and
For 10 jobs.
and not litigate. That's what it came down to. We don't want to hold up this property for 5 more years. We're going to just accept Shaughnessy Terrace down in our Big Vision Hamilton Canal, because the property isn't worth much. Oh, wait a minute. From the Link project, somebody, a developer over there, decided that property is valuable and I want to build over there, and just bought a piece of property over there to build on. But the property isn't worth anything. And then we bring in Front Runner, who's going to build this whole great scheme of things, but our property is less valuable. It's the same value as it was 20 years ago.
How many jobs is the Link project gonna bring in compared to,
Oh, yeah.
because you only bring.
Well, Link has a vision, right? They started with a vision. UMass Lowell comes in and says, we're going to have jobs first. We're going to create jobs, actually, that can sustain housing, and we're going to put housing with it. They didn't go, we're going to throw housing up and we have no jobs, so we're just going to put you in these places. And that's exactly what all the plans are from the city. The city's looking at their master plan right now, Lowell Forward. Lowell Forward, you read that thing, it doesn't have any job creation in it. It's affordable housing everywhere. Well, let's be real, people. Affordable housing is your money. It's called subsidized housing. And if there's no jobs here, you're going to subsidize for the rest of your life. So there is no magic potion here for a big job creation thing. Actually, jobs are not really being on the foresight of that master plan when you look at it. And that's the truth. And people can say whatever they want. The plan is, just like when you open your electric bill and you see how much it costs today, when you look at the energy savings, we're paying for everybody else in big people to make big money, and we're getting nothing out of it. And it's the same thing at the end, you'll see. And people can say, oh, he's cynical or this or that, but when you really look at these packages, you need job creation for sustainability. If you don't have jobs, market rate jobs where you can make actually a fair living and train people to actually work in them, how do you sustain housing without it being subsidized? Lowell already relies on the state and federal government for over 70% of their budget. And the other 30% is paid for by mostly people who work in municipal government.
So you don't think when they build that 5-story, we'll have people from Cambridge renting there, walking over to the train station to go into Boston, where it's gonna be walkability?
Oh, they'll take
It's market.
bicycles.
They'll ride their bikes.
Ride the bikes?
It's market rate, but that doesn't mean you can't have somebody in there who's subsidized by the state. Like, say Mike gets some assistance from the state, doesn't mean he can't get in it. And when you look at the numbers, I'll pull the numbers out of this packet somewhere, of the rentals. I mean, a 2-bedroom was $3,100.
No?
You know, and,
I
but
don't know how that's
materials are going
affordable
up
in the
on a
city.
building. But materials in a building are going up.
I can
don't
tell
know.
you, Greater Lowell, we're one of the top 10 poorest vocational schools, median income in the state. So I don't know how they're gonna afford a $3,100 2-bedroom in downtown.
And
I
if-
don't know how that's gonna be possible.
Yeah.
you're gonna have to hope and pray that more people from Link buy up the properties that are open over there, and you can get businesses over there and commercial development in that area.
Yeah.
But those were when the whole Hamilton Canal District came together, these were the 2 parcels that everybody said, these parcels were the prime parcels for that area. They were the best ones, everyone said.
I was kinda hoping the parcels at the end, you were gonna city was gonna try to do something like up in Salem, New Hampshire, like an outdoor, incubator restaurants where you can get 7, 8 restaurants outside, like cornhole, stuff like that. Like you have up in New Hampshire. Yeah, Tuscan Village, so, something on a smaller scale.
They just keep building.
Right, but you
Oh,
have.
they're amazing
If
up
you were
there.
there 2 years ago and you go tomorrow,
You get lost.
it's completely different because they just continue adding.
Right, I mean, that obviously is your Rockingham Park, and there's a ton of land there. But
That
I
was
mean,
a
those,
unique situation, but
right, but those, you get the canal
It's
right
nice.
there with, the last, the parcels at the end where it's really not connected. It's basically down by Dutton, almost to Fury's, right?
we'd have to knock the high school down to do something like that.
Yeah.
When you look at,
Thank you, Mike.
Maybe we can start
Mike
over
Dillon
and do
has
it right.
joined us.
Good morning.
Start over and do it right.
Wow.
Take the Section 8 dorm rooms across the street and put it where it belongs.
Well, that's what the governor wants. She wants you to have affordable housing.
in your neighborhood.
Yes.
In your neighborhood.
Oh, what? You don't
So
have to
that's
get-
the problem, is everything is our neighborhood. So anything, the
absolutely right.
biggest failure the city has ever done in the history of the city is created a downtown built on social services. So once the economy got tough and some of the buildings in the beginning of downtown's failure were vacant, we had very rich landowners down there who had political ties who said, we can't, we got to do something. So that political tie pulled in the school department, they pulled in the career center, the workforce. So it's all down there. So now try to get rid of that. You're never getting rid of that because it's a guaranteed paycheck to the political powers. So you're not getting rid of it. I
Well,
don't
and
care
they're
what
making a
anybody
living
says.
off the
We
poor.
still don't have the senior center given back to the city. We had a 20-year agreement. After the 20 years, that thing came back to the city. Why is that not the city's?
Oh.
No guts.
No, you know why.
No guts.
Read the names and the friends and tie it all together, and you'll see. And the
By
problem
guts,
is,
I mean
yeah,
the confidence to say no,
We
or
want it. It's ours.
say this is how it's.
Mike,
gonna
I
go.
like you, but if I have a job to do, I'm going to do my job and I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
Look, here it is. But when you look at these things, just to get 4 handicap parking spots over there that were on the side of the building because the side door is right there and it's easy for a handicapped person to get in because Walgreens takes up the whole front with a physical therapy person, was like pulling teeth.
Yeah, you went through, that was like I saw that meeting. It was tough to,
It
on the
went through
Adams Street side.
A meeting, and then, you have to call down there and pull teeth. Oh, we can't. What do you mean you can't? Look at these people trying to get into this place, and you have to just, everything's a fight rather than, okay, what is a function? How does this work for people?
But it's the senior center.
The senior center, they didn't even clean the HVAC systems. You went down there, the vents are black, the floor's black, the custodian's in the back sitting on boxes. Again, we're not holding people accountable. And then councilors have to come in and say, hey, can we do something? Can we do something? And then it shows the light. And I can name 100 other decisions that were made like that. When you look at the road preservation, I put in those motions. When you look at the fire department trucks, I'm the one who went and did that. And then when you look at companies closing, I was the one who went to Eileen Donahue and said, look, after the Wash Street fire, and said, look, Eileen, we have people getting Narcan the fire department has to go to. Now they're not companies open. We're at our ends. These guys can't keep doing this. And she said, if you support it, I will do it. And she did it. And, everybody can take credit today, but, for 20, how long did they go with companies closing? And how long were those trucks out? And we have councilors.
My whole career, 12 years probably.
And we have councilors on there taking
before
credit for
that.
it who have been on there for many, many years while it was being done. I mean, if you're going to be serious about helping people, let's all join together and say, what is the outcome we want? Right now, we're talking about fire stations in the hazardous waste, the hazmat inside the buildings that they have to actually live within. And, they've known that for how long?
I can tell you, I went to the Gorham Street Fire Station to fix the phone lines, and there's probably 6 inches of water in the basement.
Okay.
I had to put boots on to go over to the terminal.
So
But
how
it's-
long did
that's
they have
Gorham
to
Street.
deal with that?
I don't think Lawrence Street's much better. I've been in there too.
And it's not this manager. It goes back a long time. When you look at the schools, how long do you have to go into school when it's, you got HVAC problems, the heat, mold, everything in there, and then councils have to go over there. The little son has to come in. Why? Don't we have people actually do a job and write it? There isn't one piece of paper written to people that says, these are the issues. And,
You gotta,
I don't know.
this administration actually
has stepped up.
has
in a lot
stepped
of
up,
ways.
and this has been going on. You can go back, well, Mike, you know this, you've been there, what, 20, 12, 15 years now?
15.
But
Okay,
we
so,
also had a windfall of money in the
right,
ARPA money.
and well, that's how you
That was
use it.
taking advantage of that
So-
situation,
so
which
it-
is fine.
so-
You should have, right?
Yeah.
Instead of raising taxes, you used
So
to have
going
a one-time
forward,
fee.
let's forget about that because it's a one-time money. What's the capital plans going forward? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not just sit here and say, okay, I threw a bucket of money, I'm going to be out the door by the time these things fail again, and not plan out the
Well,
future.
that's the next step, right? So we can say, I'll say this administration spent the ARPA money properly on fixing buildings, a one-time fee. Part of it, I don't like the fact that and this is my personal opinion, because we got SOA money,
Listen,
ESSA money, and we didn't use it to create positions.
The stock closer school sells it best. If you look on the outside of the stock closer school, it's got this nice mural painted on the side. If you walked in the building, you'd have a different perspective. Why didn't we take that money and do something inside that building?
Why don't you ever do any maintenance? You're spending all this money on the school, on the high school. Well, I don't understand. I've been doing this for years, and we hear the same thing. Why doesn't?
The high school's another great one, Linda. We went for a walk through there. You walk through, they got a brand new basketball, brand new, I'll say 2.5 years old. It's never been washed correctly. They've never been trained how to wash it. There's chips already taken out of it because they're washing it with wrong materials, and they've never done any proper maintenance to that floor. And it needs to be redone already.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, where is your school superintendent?
That's us. It falls on us.
It's all in your. It's
It
all in the
falls-
city.
see, that's the problem. That's why we need a facilities department, because custodians fall under the schools, and maintenance of the building falls under the city. So what objective does it have for the custodians actually to clean and everything if they're not the ones who are responsible for maintenance? So one can point at the other. And the maintenance people are pointing at them saying, well, they're not cleaning it every day. That's the problem. That's why it's failing so quickly. And on the other hand, they point to the other one and say, look, they're not maintaining it. That's why it's failing. So you're never going to win that argument. Someone needs to put their fist down and say, look, you know what? We're done this game. These are my buildings. I am taking over them, and we're going to build a facilities department. I don't care about, I will sit here and negotiate with unions, but at the end of the day, the outcome is a better environment for the students, the staff, and everybody else. That's the outcome. And I don't think there's one union out there that wouldn't want that outcome, especially if you're the teachers' union. Wouldn't you want a better environment for your teachers?
Then why don't they?
Do
Why
we
does
have-
Paul
do you guys
George?
have any kind of a dress code at the city council for city employees who show up and testify about certain points? I turned on the TV last night, there's a guy there.
Not sure.
His tie's crooked, no sport jacket, no nothing, and he's the authority on things. Is there any dress code in City Hall? And as I know, when Kevin Murphy was there, you had to wear a jacket and tie. That was his. When Eileen was there, everybody's dressed up nice. Now it's look like they hit the hamper before they go to work. Some of them, a lot of the people I know work for the city do a great job, are frustrated with their colleagues that aren't forced to do their job. Your middle management is terrible, terrible. But the dress code, is there any dress code for city employees? Can they just show up in a t-shirt if they want to and testify?
I know there's a dress code to come in here. You told me
I know
in the
there's
summertime
one
I didn't have to
here.
wear a tie, but that guy to the right
Rules
of me
are
doesn't
clear.
have a tie on.
Here.
Hey, I'm
He's a worker.
He's sitting
I'm
running right to
leaving
work.
right to work, so.
Lee can go outside and pull one
Spotlight
plug
right
right
on
off
Lee.
here, so we're not
I
gonna
wouldn't,
fool
John, I
around
would
with
never do that to you, though.
I know
See,
you
over the-
would.
Listen, I
over the
enjoy
last-
listening to it during the day. When I'm working, I listen to it, so.
So over the last 4 years, the thing I learned about politics is how to divert that question to something else. See how quickly I put it on?
Yeah, it's fine.
But
I
no,
mean,
seriously, in union contracts, there are dress codes. I'm not sure about the upper management piece, and I would think that would be on the assistant city manager, the manager, to hold people accountable to what they foresee
Well,
as
how many employees
selling
does the city council have? Just two?
city. 3,
Who are you got the manager, you got the clerk, who
and the
else?
auditor.
You got the auditor back?
Well, they're not back, but yes, back, yes. Day
Well,
to
who
day,
can fire the auditor?
the city council,
Who can hire the auditor?
city council.
And who can tell the auditor what to do?
Now that's an interesting one. I'm not sure now on that, because I know I've sent over emails that got shared to other people because it was a directive from the other people that any emails coming from the council go to them. So, I'm not sure of that. And I've asked that question.
Hold on, back up.
Wait a minute, what?
Back up, yeah, that's, okay. Okay, so you
I don't want to get somebody in trouble.
you're about to say that,
Hold on, was it number one? Was it the manager?
I don't know who did. I know it went to the
Because
emails
that's the
that.
only one that could make sense.
So I asked the auditor.
I was just wondering, well, not even the manager
Back-
could do that. If you
back in the
hire and
beginning.
fire it, I'm wondering,
But that at least is the only one that
I would think, right.
Logically.
I just
No, well,
poked
you know,
my head up because when you
she-
said you can hire and
the
fire.
Who
auditor-
other than that?
The auditor, day to day, has a report to the CFO, per the old council.
That's
agreements.
Baldwin, right?
So he oversees some of the day-to-day stuff, yes. So when I sent, now this is
Well, wait
going
a
back
minute.
3
Wait.
years ago.
Wait, why would the auditor report to the CFO? He's the auditor.
Because there's no city councilors in the building at the time, and, they work hand in hand, and that's what the past councils did, and they said during day. So
Well,
when
we
I
always
do an
do it.
evaluation of the auditor, what I first do is call the CFO and say, is she in every day, is this that, is this, and then I write down at the bottom, I write, per CFO, this is how I came to this conclusion of this, performance evaluation.
Well, does the auditor have to ask the CFO if the figures are right? I'm getting confused here.
No, no.
If
The
it-
auditor
if-
audits, but I think they work hand in hand on a lot of stuff.
So,
But
I'm confused.
that isn't right.
See, I'm confused because at the hall, right, the union, when I sign the bills for the president of the union, I sign the bills. I don't talk to the auditor. We get audited every 4 months.
Ah, there.
I don't want to talk to the auditor. I want the auditor to do the auditor's job, to audit the books. I don't want to say, if the auditor has a question,
Mike is over there
he
scratching his
calls
head.
me and says, hey, this check cut to so-and-so, what is it? What's it about? Is it a donation? Is it a 501c3 like the bylaws
Well, I think it's
state?
the auditor audits things, she has
See what
to
I mean?
ask
I just-
the CFO questions, right? So, if you're missing something, if something doesn't make sense, the auditor has to go to the CFO and say, how does this happen?
Linda, would you read this one out loud, please?
Eric is 1,000% correct about the downtown and why it's a wreck. Welcome to all the social service capital of the Merrimack Valley.
They don't make his head any bigger than what it is.
That's not a very good slogan for a city. I think I like a lot to like about Lowell better than that one.
Yeah, but Mike, think about it. I mean, after he
Social
said it,
service
right?
capital.
After he said it, I'm thinking
It's
about
true,
it. I'm like,
though.
okay, downtown.
You have the Social Security Office, we have the workforce, we have the Career Center, we
Oh, no,
have
I
the School
agree.
Department, we have
That's all
the
that's left.
workforce down there. It's and
CTI.
it's building CTI, and it's building down there.
3
and you're like,
bars and social services is
Yeah.
all that's left.
Well, seriously, you can basically name them. I mean, okay, you got Fuse, you got Tremonti, you got the Old Court. I'm just coming around the corner. You got the new Chinese food place. I don't know if Holly
Warp and
Crab's
Weft.
open. You got Warp and Weft, that's on the other side, the Athene and the Shamrock. Ramen, El Portro. The new cat place.
But
Coffee Mill.
the big
yeah, but
The bakery, yeah. I'm just trying to name off the top of my head of things that aren't social services. And some of these restaurants, like Monday, try to get a lunch downtown.
The problem is that
But wait-
they're so scattered. They're not near.
Cobblestone.
each
that's
other.
what I was
It's
gonna
not
say.
one row.
You used to be able to go downtown and
One row.
walk around and be
Right.
like, where do you want to go? But also the atmosphere is not what it used to be, and it's just not a place people go to Tuscan Village,
Yes.
if they want that.
Well,
Nobody's going downtown
we're
for that,
trying to make changes.
unless you're going to hit a particular establishment,
Right.
which you're going down there for.
I'm still a big fan of, we do the Folk Fest in July, right? I don't know why we're not closing down that T, I call it, from Palmer to Middle, once a month, from a Friday night. You can move the Jersey barriers Saturday
Block party.
morning,
Yeah.
and then move them back in at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and do a block party once a month. I don't know why we're not doing that, to drive people downtown. I'm gonna tell you, the Golden Gloves, I was shaking my head, the finals the other day at 8 o'clock, I'm coming down because I wanted to watch one fight. And people were getting ticketed $25 a pop all over the auditorium, and we're trying to get people in here.
Parking?
We're whacking them for, parking for $25 a pop. There should be certain things, certain areas. Yes, okay, you pay to park, throw a warning on it sometimes, I mean, there's gotta be, if we're trying to get people in here, we can't whack them, like the 2-hour thing. I understand, but if you gotta move after 2 hours, but wait a minute here. If I'm willing to put another $5 in, why can't I keep that spot? I'm not gonna, if I move,
Because-
I'm leaving.
Because what happens is that business owners were down there and they were taking up those spots. They were willing to pay that $5 to hold that spot all along. And its capture is to try to turn over the spot so it's more friendly for people to pull up, be able to do business and go, rather than have 10 people who have means to pay to keep feeding them.
I see what you're saying. I see.
So that was the reason.
I understand the
behind it.
concept, but I understand the concept, but it's maybe make it 3 hours, because I'm telling you, sometimes
we're going to revisit it.
because sometimes people are pulling up, they want to get something to eat, and then use I don't know, use ramen, use the old court or whatever.
Lee sits down to have a drink and something to eat.
I'm going to be there 2 hours.
Like
But I don't park in the street in the city. I find my spots. I don't mind walking walking a little good ways.
Well, can we go back to the middle management, because I've been hearing this for 20 years, that there's a problem with middle management role. Now, we go from manager to manager, council to council. Why does it never get fixed?
Because we hire our friends. We put people in there who can't actually do the job. That's as simple as I can put it for you. And if they were willing to do the job, maybe they don't have the support from the top, the next person up, because of that same reason. I worked there, so I can tell you I was a middle management person there. I tried to do my job, and every time I tried to do it, I was told, oh, that's so-and-so, ooh, don't do this. And in the end, it was like, hire this person who couldn't tie their shoes together if you tried. It wasn't the place for them. The water department is not a place where you can just put all your friends if you're going out into dangerous conditions. It's snowing out, it's cold out, the water mains broke, there's a fire. You look at the problem with the fire hydrants we have right now. And I don't want to put Michael on the spot, but when you think about this, these guys are dragging hose further than they've ever had to do it because people are not maintaining those fire hydrants. That's why that report didn't come back the following week. It's very simple. How many fire hydrants were replaced in the last 3 years? That is a press the button thing, send it over. Well, why is it taking a month to get the report?
The answer is zero.
You still didn't get it?
That's the problem. And then they go to fires and they got to drag the hose further and further. In the fire department, their upper management is hush hush because they're worried about political things rather than functions.
I'd hear this baloney from past managers. Every Monday, the manager has a meeting with all his managers. Every Monday. What the hell? Do they just have pizza? What do they have? They get breakfast pizza and just sit there and enjoy each other's company and say, see you next Monday. Why doesn't the fire chief stand up and say, Mr. Manager, freaking hydrants are not working?
Why?
Because the fire chief and the police chief are no longer in civil service.
They bow. They should be.
bow down.
Eric, they should be at the manager's meeting.
John, it doesn't matter what meeting they're at, they're no longer civil service. They cut their tongue out of them. That's what happened, John.
So they can get
So I'm
fired.
being blunt force trauma to you. The very truth is, they're an appointed function, no longer civil
So
service.
they can get fired.
But the union isn't appointed.
So my question, Eric, can the manager fire the fire chief?
Absolutely.
Anytime he wants.
Whatever direction the
Yes.
managers want is the way it goes.
Where's the union?
Why do you think fire trucks failed for
He's
so
ignoring
long?
me.
They took him out.
Where's the union?
Not there. They took him out.
What do you mean they took them
They
out?
took
The
him out of
chief is
civil
not
service.
part of our union.
No, but why isn't your union fighting for you? You're the guy that has to drag the hose.
Yeah,
Yep.
well,
You're the
Mike,
guy that
he
has
was
to-
stuck driving a truck that the wheels fell off.
I know.
I made him drive the truck.
I mean, you talk about the schools and the bad conditions. Well, I know Paul is a wonderful negotiator, but I don't see how he's got the best interest of the
Sure is.
You're not beating him, Mike.
of the teachers if they have to work in those conditions. And why aren't the teachers out there? They'll go out and protest about nonsense, but why aren't they out there about what they have to work?
Was it Einstein who said doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Was it him? Well, why do we keep electing people who have been part of this problem for all
Because
these years
every
and saying,
time-
this is a nice person?
Every election time, they're all going to come in here and they're going to say, middle management is horrible, and we're going to
But
fix
they're
it.
the function that could fix it, and they haven't. I've been here 4 years. It'll be 4 years. And everything that we've put in place is starting to come to fruition. And when you look, people take credit for things that should have been done 20 years ago. A capital plan for fire trucks, is that a hard thing to do? No. No, it's a simple cost. It's a cost. I think residents can understand there's a cost for a fire truck. Okay, so there's, 10 of them?
It's the life expectancy. Mike.
13.
Mike, what's the life expectancy of a fire truck?
The backup ones are the
8, 10
13,
years?
the 3, right?
It depends.
Yeah.
It's
10 to
15.
15
It's
is like-
15 is what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on function and use. And I think that number was put there in a different place rather than the one that's here today, when they're out doing 911 calls and now it's Narcan. So that number changes it depends on which truck it is. But when you start looking at these trucks, and if you got 13, which 3 of them I think are backups, right?
There's eight engines, 4 ladders, and we should have at least 2 spares, a ladder and an engine, so.
Okay, so 13. So you would think, okay, so all of them are pretty much going to be new very shortly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then you go, say, 7 years out, and then you start your capital plan there. If you start at year 7 from when the first one came in and start replacing them, in 13 years from that, so the oldest truck at any time would be 20, but then it would turn over to every 13 years after the first cycle. That makes
The
sense.
concern right now with
And they're
what's-
not
yeah,
doing
of
that
course.
function.
Well, let me
because
ask both you guys this question, okay? Since Lowell doesn't know what maintenance is, why don't we put the year we purchased the trucks on the side of the trucks? So, now, Mike, if your truck said proudly purchased by the citizens of Lowell, or by some federal agency in 1952,
I
you
bet,
pull out to a fire station and say, 1952 fire truck. So, would it be a practical thing, Mike, in your mind, that we put the year we buy these trucks on the side?
on the buildings and the trucks, yeah.
We'll talk about the buildings in a
We
minute.
should probably put it on the back of his jacket too, so he says, Mike Dillon, 1996.
Yeah, but see, if we do that for the buildings, everybody's gonna want a plaque. It's gonna cost more to put their name on the building.
Well, the safety, the fact is that we use these trucks to save citizens' lives. And if it's a 1959 truck, the public should be aware
Do
of
you
it.
see how much you're dumbing down their function? How no other community in the country has to put that down. But since the city of Lowell is dysfunctional in their functions, and we don't want to hold people accountable, we'll put a number on the side of a fire truck so that people can understand that it's that old.
Well, it sounds silly, it is John.
It is silly.
It's John being a little silly, but we're all
But
on
I'll
the
tell you
same,
what, though.
we're all on the same page here, you know?
No, I
It's
agree.
like-
No, I agree with him.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
you put that, let's call it a born on date. You put that born on date on the side of a truck, and someone sees it's 20 years old,
They're going to do nothing.
The buses
taxpayer's
have
gonna
it.
say, you might say
No,
something.
they're not. No, they're not. The taxpayers can't even get out and vote. There's only a certain percentage that vote.
I get you on that. That's a true, I
I
can't
mean,
argue that statement.
when you look at it,
No, it's
and we just
Eric-
give a rubber stamp for the ribbon cutting.
Eric, it's eye candy. Look at the buses.
Okay.
Every bus, every city bus, LRTA bus, has a date on the back it was purchased.
Yeah, and who cares?
The public does. And the guy
You do.
the guy who runs the bus company, he
If-
cares. Look how old those
If you
buses
just
are.
didn't say that to me, I would have had no idea there was a number on the back of the truck. Did you know that, Mike?
On the buses?
Yeah?
No.
Me neither.
All right.
I
Did
never
you
knew
win
that.
the-
Now I do. Now,
All right, so
now
there's
you're gonna have me
four of
looking
us
at.
who drive
Now you're gonna have me looking
follow
at.
a bus who have no idea
Every
what you're
bus,
talking
it says
about.
what
I
number,
used to drive
what
one.
year
Serial
and
number.
what
I
number.
thought it was a serial number.
It says what year and what number.
Well,
buses
there's
were
a
bought
reason for
year.
that, John, when you bid the contract, that it's in the contract how old the buses can be.
I'm just wondering, like the capital plan, has there been one handed to the council at all?
Yeah, there's always a capital plan, right? It depends what's in it. I mean, when you have as many buildings and stuff that we have in the city, and we don't have functions, like, okay, so this week I'm gonna have a motion on about contracting irrigation services to the parks. We got 2 plumbers, we have 29 schools, we have all the facilities to do, and they're out blowing out irrigation systems. Think about that. And it's just like, okay, this is a function that's very easy to contract out. It's not that expensive. And it's not taking anybody's work away. There's plenty of work in the city. Why don't we just contract that piece out? And
Well, why
say,
don't
"Here
we?"
you go."
Well, it's.
I don't
because-
know.
I know. I'll tell you.
Well,
right?
what do they
But
say
those
when you
things-
ask them?
I'm going to tell you what. I'm going
I
to tell
don't
you
know.
what.
I'll find out this
I'm going
week.
to tell you why, and here's where I put my union hat on. I get
Well, please do,
I get
because I'm
kinda
concerned
pissed off
about the
this.
unions.
I kind of get pissed off about this. As a plumber, that's not my problem. It's a 6 Ps. Piss poor management, piss poor performance.
We're not saying anything's wrong with the plumber.
Well, no, but hire another one. Hire a couple more plumbers so they can go out and do the irrigation and.
Why don't you-
So,
It'd be
Mr.
cheaper.
I'm going to put on my management hat
course
to
you
your
gotta.
union hat, and I'm going to say, well, I've went out for plumbers for the last 3 times, the last 3 cycles, and I don't have any applicants that can do the job. So now what do you want me to do, Mr. Plumber?
Up
You
the
don't
pay
want to
raise.
come in.
Up
I
the pay
call
raise.
you.
You're not paying.
I call you and your water department friends to come in for water main breaks. You don't want to come in for water main breaks. I have to pay a contractor to come in for your water main breaks. It's costing the taxpayer twice as much, and we got your union guy driving around.
So let me ask you a question.
I don't know.
Okay, you want to tag the water department on me, that's fine. So let me ask you a question.
Well, you're the union guy.
Well, there's management up there, correct? Who's HR? Did
They're
HR hire these guys? What's their job description?
There's nothing in the job description that forces them to come in.
No, but I mean, let me ask you a question. How many CDLs are down there? In the job description, are they told to get a CDL?
Yes,
Why are they still on the property?
that's a great question.
Okay, so you don't want to do your job.
Want me to
yet-
tell you why?
Hold on,
You didn't let
management
me
doesn't want to
finish
do
my
their
answer.
job, so you're going to throw it on the union's lap. If you don't do your job and get rid
You
of.
want to know the answer?
I know the
Because
answer.
you, Mr. Union Guy, have a big political friend who got you the job, Mr. Union Guy, and now you're calling your friend because you're being picked on, and somebody resigned as an executive director because they were like, you know what, this is ridiculous.
You think the
I'm
union
not
called to get
taking
people
it."
hired down there, or did the councilor call a city manager to get the people hired? Now the union, here's what I say to Verizon.
The union was involved too.
If the union does the hiring, we wouldn't have the morons you give us.
If the union did.
Ah.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, in my world, that's true.
In my world, when we do hiring, we have 4 union guys in there and 1 management guy. So I am the manager in there, and I have 4 union guys in there. They picked the person they wanted. We send it down to City Hall, and it comes back with a total different person than what the union people wanted or I wanted. And I look and go, I
Well,
don't know. I don't know.
So
Okay,
now you're
but-
blaming the union for that guy coming back.
Okay, guys, I'm backing the bus up because the bus is on the screen. See this 2001? This bus is number 1 of the fleet of buses we bought in 2020. So no matter what
see what
LRTA
you're
bus you see,
In 2020?
Yeah, so 20 is the
2020?
first bus,
20 is
yeah.
the
they
year.
bought this bus, and this is number 1 of the fleet that they purchased that year.
We should do Morse code on our trucks.
That's pretty good. I never knew that.
Nobody did. Only John.
Well, I know school buses, but I don't know
It's
about
Morse code.
LRTA.
I would have thought that thing was a 2001 bus.
No,
SOS.
Eric, you're 100% right on the hiring, but here's the thing, we toss it at the union, and the union doesn't do the hiring. The union, look at,
Union,
I don't make
depends who
calls.
the manager is. The union has a lot of say in the hiring. Yes, they do.
It's 1705?
They did when I was there, but then you get pushed back, and yeah.
You guys want to say
And they got frustrated with it too. So, at the end of the day, when you have a organization that you sit down and you say, look, I'm going to put these 5 guys on an interview panel, and they review all of the applicants, and they come back with the one they want, and you send it down, and it comes back to someone else, it kills morale. So all of them go, I'm not going to do any more interviewing because tell them to pick whoever they want and hand them all the applications. So that's what ends up happening.
Well, that's absolutely, so when you're, Greater Lowell, we have a hiring board. It's the same thing, correct? We have a hiring board, you go before the board, whoever the best 3 applicants, they go forward. There's none of this stuff, hey, Lee, want to get my buddy a job? Okay, well, I'll get you an interview, but if you don't get past that interview process, I'm not making a call because now I defeat the purpose of having a hiring board.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut the legs off the hiring board, I'll get you an interview. I can do
need-
that.
I just need someone to work.
Well, that's
all.
No,
Like,
but,
can you give
but
me
you know
someone
what?
to
You're
work?
not. It isn't just the government. Even in I'm working at Walgreens.
Thank you, Corey.
Lenny, can you read this out loud?
Corey Robinson. It's because at one point in time they added irrigation specialists to our plumbers titles for the pump.
No, to bump their pay. I agree with Corey, but the problem is, Corey, that we didn't negotiate pay raises in between that kept plumbers actually paid a fair wage compared to other plumbers. So this was a way to filter up their pay raise and make it comparable to other plumbers. But at the end of the day, if a function's not getting done, are we going to take our plumbers out of this function and put them over to irrigation people, even if it's in their title, and take them away from the leaky faucet that's been leaking at Lowell High School on the 4th floor for the last 2 years, and they haven't done anything about it? So that's the questions. You know, you get, my plumber works daily. Someone flushes something down the toilet, plugs it. They have to bag it. I have to get someone up there right away to do it. There is no way my plumber could go outside and do my irrigation.
Okay.
I have a maintenance guy who's
Well,
outside.
all right,
and he
I got
does it.
that. I got that. All right.
Yeah.
Then-
It should be a Parks Department function. You're at the park, why can't you blow out the?
I was going to
don't
say
know.
that. Why isn't the Parks Department doing this? I mean, it's a, and I understand what Corey's saying because the plumbers weren't being compensated for doing the
Yeah, so they
irrigation. We give them the bump up and pay.
They give them the bump
to
up
keep-
and pay because they were so underpaid compared to other communities, and that was
Right.
an excuse to do it.
Right,
Sure.
I mean, we all know that that's what happens.
right,
And because
It's
you can
also
you
a
only
way
have
to shrink
40
your workforce
Right,
absolutely.
by just giving more
to one.
to one,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah, and when you look at the function, just look at the number of buildings and look at the number of plumbers. I have 3 buildings, and my plumber has full-time work all day.
You can't
If you
compete-
go over to Lowell, they got 29 schools, and you got 2 plumbers right now.
I guarantee, and I'm not picking on the fire department, I guarantee something happens in the fire stations and there's a plumber in there that does, and it fixes it.
Right, which
It
is.
fixes it, which helps the plumbers, and then the plumber gets PO'd at the fireman for fixing the plumbing jobs. Well, that's there, but with a SAP, you have 2 plumbers for how many buildings? You're not doing it. You can use 2 plumbers in the high school right now, full-time.
There's no question you need a full-time plumber at the high school. There's no question.
You know, so that takes 1, so now you're gonna have 1 to do the.
So you're doing all this rehabilitation on the high school, and you're not going to maintain it?
It's going to fail.
Well, there should be a maintenance.
It's already failed. In 2.5 years
Right.
that building has been there, it is already failed. The piece that was given over to the city 2.5 years ago. That gym floor now has to be sanded down. Now, the life expectancy, you got to remember, a wood floor is so thick. So every time you sand it down, it takes away from the thickness. The ball bounce is different, everything happens. So every time you don't maintain it right, and you have to grind it down and put all new decals and everything in it, it takes off years of use on that. If you maintain it, they say between 10 and 15 years you can get out of each layer. 8 to 10 anyway, out of each layer, and you can sand it down 7 times, so it would last that long. But they're not doing that. And that's the problem is, and it doesn't cost much money. I think ours cost about $2,800 a year to have them come in, sand off the first row of varnish, re-varnish the thing, and go. And at the time when they do it, every single time we have them retrained. Okay, what can we actually wash this floor with? How do we dry this floor? How do we maintain this floor? They get trained on that. So we have a certain type of mop that can be used on it. You can't do a walk behind on it because the bristles are just too abrasive and they don't clean the right way. So it gives a haze to that floor. And you go over to Low High, it's haze, it's got chips out of it. Last time there was a gum on the floor. It's just like, wow, this is newer. 2.5 years is newer, and it should never look like that. But
I don't know, it's apples and oranges, but how old's the folks floor? Because I know that's relatively new with the last 5 years.
5.
It's night-
4 years.
It's
4
night
years.
and day. You can go to Greater Lowell and look at their floor, and I'm not saying because I'm on the school committee, just go look at the Greater Lowell floor compared to the high
Okay,
school.
and
floor.
we play deck
we're-
hockey on it, we
Yeah,
play
we're
everything
5
on
years-
it, and.
5 years older. And I mean,
we
it's a
do it.
gym floor, so I don't want to hear,
No, the re-varnish is 5 years old. The original floor is 13.
But
And
there's I wouldn't have known that unless you brought it up today.
But that's their job. It should not be the public's job to know that.
Yeah, but so-
It's my
Whoa,
job.
whoa, whoa,
You don't
whoa.
need to understand how your brakes work as long as your car stops.
No, it is the public's job, and
let
they've
me
got to
ask you a
get...
question. Who should have, now, does this fall on the OPM to say, hey, I'm giving you this over, this is the best way to clean this? Because how are the custodians supposed to know, like, is the floor guy when they put it in, and I just want to know
I
the
agree
process.
with you.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying it's not the city's fault. I'm not, who should have said to the
Before,
custodians, this is the best practice to clean this floor?
It's like the heating system. Is anybody telling them how to maintain
Right,
it?
or is the city not putting someone there to listen?
before we started the groundbreaking at the high school, you can go back. I made a motion to create a maintenance department over there so that they could actually see how it was being built and taught all the functions.
Yes.
Be given handed the manuals, be handed how to maintain them and that stuff. Well, that didn't happen. We were told they could do it out of lands and buildings. Well, now the manager has reversed his direction and said, you know, in order to maintain this $400 million building, we're going to need to have people on site. It's 600,000 square feet. You need people in that building immediately. It's not like you can't be there. Electrician can work full-time in that building, even in a renovation. It has to. So it just doesn't make sense.
Hey, Mike, did you ever say that on your side at the school committee? We need people in here to fix this?
No, not at all.
The function's wrong, it's backwards, but it's about the function piece. And what is the function? I can write out a daily work log for every one of them every day. You know, just the filters alone, changing the filters in each one of those heating and air conditioning units will take you a month and a half. And by the time you're done, you're at the beginning point to do it again, because every 3 months those filters should be changed. They're not, and they should be dated as you're changing them. We changed them on March 26th.
Well, I
2025.
suspect if you're not changing them, and since John is so into the fresh air, and they're not getting the fresh air because they're saying
They
that
get it for
the
the first 3
systems were
months.
going to be maintained, so maybe John will be mentioning it every week.
It ain't gonna matter.
Oh,
He's
well,
been
no,
mentioning
I
it for
wouldn't
the
say
last
that.
6 years.
Oh, man.
Wait a minute, I
hey,
wouldn't say that
since-
because
since
I
I'm-
didn't know about brown
Wait a minute,
outside.
Since I've been coming on,
Wait a minute,
John,
wait a minute,
give me a
wait.
picture of the roof at the Rogers.
That's what I was just looking at.
Oh, so we'll go over there in a second.
He's been mentioning the roof.
He'll get us the view.
Let's get through these texts first. So there's a bunch of texts here.
He's been getting the pictures of the Rogers forever.
Would you read these, please?
Corey Robinson, in 1705, we never had been involved in hiring while I was there.
Well, Corey, you know, because you were there when I was there, that I invited in all 1705. I invited in 4 1705 employees during every interview. It wasn't something that I went to the president of 1705 and asked him to do. I went to the employees and said, hey, can you guys review these applications and sit in the interview
I
process?
think he's saying,
And to continue, facilities department is non-existent. I don't know what a facilities department is. Is that another one? like
Maintenance, isn't
Golden's
it, to
Friends?
maintain the...
It's lands and buildings, that's what he's talking about. So lands and buildings was the initial onset in probably 1910. They put together a lands and buildings department that would control like the land, like parks department, stuff like that, and buildings. And at some point, the land went to the parks department, and lands and buildings was a group that now maintained all the facilities. So that's what their job. It has roofers, plumbers, painters. They used to have steam fitters at one point, but those got
Masons.
changed over now in Masons.
So that's gone, okay. Next one says, how much water is okay to have in your cellar? What do Lowell firehouses and the police station have water in the cellar? So, Lee, you were talking about water in the
yeah,
cellar?
I mean, I've been in the
How
police
much
station.
water?
Oh, I mean,
Do you have water in your cellar, Lee, at home?
no.
Anybody have water in their cellar?
No.
Oh, you do? Oh, see,
We have
it's
a- we have a
it's
sump.
common.
Yeah, the
We have
pump
a
that pumps
sump
it out.
pump.
Okay.
So it's a hole in the ground.
Yeah,
It's
but I mean,
but yeah.
I've been.
But it's not above the
I've
cellar
also been.
floor.
I've also been in the police station where there's water to the left of the phone.
Like, you got water in the cellar at your house?
No, no, but I have a pump also. No, not in ours, but
Can you speak
in
to-
multiple basements there is
Gorham
water
Street
now.
apparently has water in their cellar?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Gorham, Lawrence. I can name you quite a few.
Brand Street did. I don't
Yeah.
know how that's looking now, but Lawrence, those 3 in particular,
Right, I've been
probably
in all-
are
How
oldest
healthy,
buildings.
how healthy do you think that is, kid?
I bet
How
there's a
healthy?
little bit more mold than should probably be.
How
there.
healthy? So where is your union? Okay, I'll turn the page on that. Moving right along,
Fair.
from Jeff Thomas. He says, so if Lapoli can just continue to screw the city, why can't we just screw Belvedere and restart the build at Cawley? Fair is fair. Good point. That's the end of our text in that group.
Thank you.
Why does this Collie thing still come up?
It's over.
I mean, it's done deal. Let's move on.
I was
No,
pro Colin, but now I'm
and that's
based in
okay,
downtown.
but they said they were going to maintain it.
Linda, I deal with new construction, remodeling construction. I'm a new construction person, but I can tell you there's a lot of failures in new construction.
Oh, absolutely.
There's settlements, it cracks,
Yes.
there's all kinds of problems, and then when you look at land, so just because one is having an issue because of lack of oversight or lack of foresight in what was going on, doesn't mean the other one wouldn't have
No,
the same
but
problem.
when the whole thing, when the, way back on, and you talk, call it came up, that we were going to renovate the high school.
There was
There was a big issue about maintenance.
maintenance of all our buildings, even if it was a brand new one at Collie, we'd have these, you know what? You'd probably see tiles falling down right now and stuff at a new building. Things happen if you're not there. Everything breaks, like door handles were a big thing. Well, you got 5,000 people using a door handle every day. It's gonna break, it's gonna need, some
And it
things will
sounds-
snap, some things need to be tightened, it just happens.
Penny wise and pound foolish. It would
It
be
is,
short
absolutely,
money
absolutely,
compared to what
yes.
it's costing.
No question. There's no question.
Well-
There's no question there's long-term
And
savings.
I'm a
in it.
blonde, and I can figure that out.
Well, you knew you were in trouble when they pulled the bleachers out and went over the track.
If there
You knew you were in
wasn't
trouble then.
long-term savings in maintenance, why do people change the oil in their vehicles?
Well, that's prevalent throughout the city. It's
If the
what we
idiot
were talking
light
about
comes
before.
on, change your oil. That's the only reason I change the oil. The idiot
No.
light tells me to.
We talk about the plumbers, for instance, like, it might have been 10 years ago, I heard from a city plumber, I could have a plunger in my hand all day and be busy with
No
just a
question.
plunger. And so when that's the workforce that we have for all the issues that we have, who's doing preventative maintenance?
Exactly.
No, nobody. They're plunging toilets and fixing broken pipes the best that they
Well-
possibly can,
well,
if they can.
Michael, what we do at
And then
Greater Lowell,
preventative,
what we do at Greater
not,
Lowell
they're not
is,
looking at an old pipe and saying, oh, that
Well,
needs to be replaced.
There's not enough guys to do this.
No,
and
that's,
that's the problem.
it's all the,
no place has that amount of people, like, but what happens is this, you know that there's an everyday maintenance piece, right? But those outside things that you have a maintenance plan for, normally you contract it. We have a contractor who comes out and changes all our
Sure.
filters. at
Oh, yeah,
Greater
sure.
Lowell. They do all the glycol, they do all the oiling of all of those HVAC units, they do everything. Right now, our univents, which tie on to the outside of the building, they're the units that are on the outside fixture, right? It's easy to maintain those, so right now, we're in a capital plan of replacing all the insides of them to go, and we're doing that with an inside staff and a contractor, so
So-
we're working together on it, so.
It has to be that way.
A family
Yeah.
text we have here.
Oh, Zach.
And he says, we can keep blaming Lapoli, or you could start blaming the people. We keep supporting that vote for Lapoli to do this. Thank you, Zach. Moving right along here. This is from a retired police officer. Didn't sign his name, so we're not going to say who it is.
Oh, he's 100% right. I've been down there a million times fixing the phone lines because
When
they
it
get
rains,
wet.
there's water in the basement of the police station. Where's your union? It's unhealthy. It's not healthy. The whole frickin' building's not healthy if there's water in the cellar.
We got a nice painting on the side of Stocklosa.
Does anybody tell the union people, that the bosses, that to go and fight for this?
Why would you have to tell someone? It should be common, like, if a toilet overflows in the bathroom and there's feces on the floor, it should be common sense to clean it.
No, it's got to be
And it's
reported
just-
from 311. You got to
Yeah.
go on 311 and report that.
I mean, not just walk out the door, lock it, and
He's on
go,
a roll today.
here we are. You know, that's the hard part. Again, a police officer, firefighter, a DPW worker drives down a street and there's a major pothole in the middle of the road. How hard is it for them to pick up the phone or call over and say, hey, dispatch, can you call over to DPW? There's a pothole in this road that's going to wreck our truck. Thank you. Click. Bye. No, we drive around it. We'll drive through it. It's not our vehicle. The craziest thing I've ever seen in all of municipal government is you go by any one of the city buildings, you'll see this nice fleet of cars out there, all washed, all low riders, big trucks, Cadillacs, everything, all nice and washed. You look at the way they take care of their municipal vehicle, it is a shame. Coffee cups on the floor, dirty, can't wash the windshields. But when they leave there, you see what they drive out of there and you go, why can't you just take care of this vehicle the same way? At the end of the day, take 20 minutes, wash it up, take out your coffee cups, stop, go down to DPW. They had vehicles with expired inspection stickers for 3 years, pulling equipment. That would have never lasted in the last community I worked for. That manager would have fired you. Would have been 10 minutes in. He walked down every day and looked at everything, and he would drive by. Bill Hadley was probably the best DPW director I have ever been around. because he really did inspect what he expected. If he expected you to do something, he went by and looked, and he would say, wow, that was a really nice job. You know, boom, boom, boom. Or he would say, hey, what do you think of this?
Oh, no.
You know,
This
but-
is,
Show this for like
thanks
10
to
years
Erik
now.
Gitschier,
Yes.
most
got
of the
80.
state-of-the-art cinder blocks have left the Rogers.
I was gonna say, I thought they were gone, but
No,
there's
no,
still
no,
a
no, no,
collection.
no, we left those. We call those John McDonough.
All right.
Oh, so they're not holding anything up the
They're
roof?
not holding nothing.
The roof's
They're
done
holding
finally?
nothing.
All right,
They're holding
I love
nothing.
it, John.
I suspect this
Gotta keep the
holds
joke
down
running.
this camera. This camera probably doesn't work, but it holds down this camera. At one time, maybe the camera worked. Nobody knows where the reception for this camera is because the
John, can you do me a favor now that we're on cameras? Can you take your drone and go down by the S Bridge and just fly from the S Bridge all the way down to CVS before foliage comes and look at the trash that's in the wetlands over
I
there?
wanted to do that the other day, but I found out my drone was in Colorado. But now it's back. It was delivered yesterday. I said, where's my drone? Oh, yeah. So it's back. I charged it, so I'm hoping to get some time today because I have to go down.
You are going to create an EPA nightmare. In the wetlands, needles, trash. There's more trash over there than there is at the landfill.
Well, how about the trailers that they put on the walkway up in the Highlands?
Well, so you know where those were. I had said this to Eric a while
behind
back.
the Sun Food
They were
Plaza.
down to Sun Food Plaza at the end of Target. And someone must have got them out of there, and they moved them down to...
Are there people living in them?
What's that?
Are there people living in them?
Yeah, someone's living
Where
in
are
them
they
because...
now?
Oh, they download the brand new walkway from
You know the Bruce Friedman Trail?
right off that. So if you go from Jarvis, going back towards the Sun Food Plaza, right? I think that's from Jarvis to the Sun Food Plaza,
yeah.
right?
Bobby Hoey did a video
Great.
on it.
Bobby did a
Crayfish,
video
yeah.
the other day. It was awesome.
I didn't.
Well, the homeless thing, I came out of Market Basket 2 days ago, and I'm just happened to be at the light with a little girl there with a sign that says I'm a mother with a kid, and I need formula, and then at the bottom it says Cash App, Venmo app. They have apps.
It's awesome.
So last night we put in a motion to create
I might have threw her a dollar.
an ordinance for panhandling. So we're
That
not
was
trying to panhandle.
Corey Robinson did that, right?
Corey and I.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what
So
happened?
we're trying to put in one, if you look up Fall Rivers right now. So Fall River in 2020 got smacked by the Supreme Court saying it was unlawful to do. But in 2024, they must have had a lawyer come in and do everything and say, look, this is what you can do. You can put restrictions on it. So if people are walking up to your door, they got to stay within 3 feet, outside of 3 feet of your window. They can't get up to your window. If you walk by them, they can't follow you. They can't have signs that don't project actually something that's wrong with them. So if they're not disabled, they can't put, I'm a disabled vet, if they're not a vet. There's a whole list, so we just gave that to
Prove it.
the
Yeah,
city
exactly.
solicitor last night and just said, here you go, because when you talk to the kids at the school who just get their licenses, who pull up to the overpass, a few of them have said a lady comes over and bangs on their window and scares them, and they're like, you're talking young women and young guy, and they're like this person's smacking on my window. So we're trying to put together something that will restrict a lot of that, and then it gives actually the police some bite to say, here we are, and hopefully it works. It worked over here at the South Common over the winter, but we're hoping that it can continue over this summer, so it's going to be
I think
interesting.
that worked great over here at the South Common.
Right now, it's early.
Well, I still think you're back, you gave the police something they can hold on to remove them. You know what I mean? So now they can go over and say, hey, look, you can't be here.
The ultimate thing is to try to get them to the services that are needed, the mental health services, and we have those to provide. So that's the ultimate goal, but they keep turning away from it, and people are like, oh, we need more housing. Housing's the issue. It's not even remotely close to the issue. Wake up, people.
They don't want it.
Yeah, wake up, people. Mike's probably Narcan
want
the
the
same
help.
person 26 times in the last, 3 months. And, it just comes down to, at the end of the day, they need to get social services. We're offering them, and they need to get it done.
Coming up on break, so I'm going to read these two texts quick. From what I understand, Babyface is the brains behind the fantasy football team. Lee is just there for a profile picture. That's the bar.
There's no question that's true.
And then we got, what a laugh, accountability in government. Government creates problems and then blames everyone and everything except themselves. That's from Jay. So we're going to go to break, and we'll be back. Thanks.
Wow, now gone. Welcome back to City Life. I'm Linda Bown. I'm your host. I have Mike Dillon, former school committee member down and fireman. I have Lee Gitschier, Verizon employee and regional school committee, and I have Erik Gitschier, who was city councilor. And so I'm gonna shut him up for a minute, if possible.
Let him go.
Go to Lee. Tell me something about what's going on at the Voc. Usually you have a bunch of stuff that's going on there.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the admission process, so
Can just to, for people that, all of a sudden they haven't paid much attention to admission at the Voc. What is the process? What are the requirements?
So it's all on the website. So basically, first off, it goes by your absentees. There's points for that. There's points for grades, and then there's points for suspension. The suspension part, if you have more than 10 days suspended, especially now in the culture we have, you've done something radically wrong.
It's hard to get suspended.
Yeah. So
In
you've
Lowell
done
public
something.
schools,
Yeah, you've done something radically wrong.
we don't suspend anybody.
So this is how it's coming down. Yeah, you would know better than anybody.
We don't suspend
We don't-
anybody.
I'm
Why didn't they do that when I was a kid? Your uncle put me in in-house more times than I was in regulars.
we can't do it.
We got too many, we have
Mr. threw me in.
DEI professionals in charge of our whole school system, and our whole city probably.
If school vouchers come out, you'll start kicking kids out of class quick because that's the main ingredient why people go to private schools. That's why my kids are going to go to St. Margaret's, my kids are going to go to the Greek Hellenic because the discipline.
We tolerate lunatics in the classroom, and the rest of the classroom suffers because of it, just because mostly minority students get suspended.
So,
So if your goal is to even out the suspension numbers across races, then you can't suspend any minorities. So we just don't suspend anybody that has discipline issues to bring our suspension numbers
So-
down. And then behavior
100%.
looks better on paper, and also our suspensions are evenly distributed over the races.
so
So think about how a classroom looks when you've got one lunatic in the classroom and the rest of the class suffers. The rest of the class gets pulled out of class so that kid can calm down and stop being a
You know, one of the
lunatic.
worst decisions that happened is when we went to the daily school, they had functions like 8-1 to 8-11, 7-1 to 7-11. And, you know, when you looked at it, 7-11 is where they put most of those kids. They could all function together. They all could do, you know, the craziness together.
No, you can't separate them.
Yeah, I know.
You hurt their feelings. We
but-
don't separate kids anymore.
But don't we do that with Latin Lyceum?
Yeah.
But we can't do it.
Oh, don't make that comparison. They won't separate the smart kids. I mean, we still don't do that, which is,
But Latin
It's all
Lyceum
different
does it.
conversation.
And, you know, that's the thing. And don't we have high honor classes and different classes?
barely.
don't
They're
have-
diluting that now, too.
So
So how do we
Mike's
prepare them to go to
100%
the
right
good
here.
colleges?
So 5 years ago, so that was maybe, just before COVID, Desi did a walkthrough at Greater Lowell, and they said we're heavy-handed on discipline because we have in-house suspension. So instead of suspending the kid out of school, what happens is we bring them into a room, you're suspended, say a room the size of this, and there's chairs, and you don't leave the room. Lunch gets brought to you, and you do your work. All day. You don't leave that room. You go to the bathroom. Yeah, you can go to the bathroom and stuff like that, but you're in that room. And that was heavy-handed, so guess what we don't have now? We don't have in-house suspension anymore.
Pathetic.
So,
Bad kids stay in class. This is from Corey Robinson. And the text are coming through a little slow one. But nonetheless, this is maybe a few minutes in the last hour. Just the amount of glass surfaces to be cleaned in the new high school alone should keep a couple of people busy 40 hours a week. In a lot of instances, departments are just set up for failure.
What do you think
guys-
about that? Because that's fair.
That is.
I look at that school, like going in and it's got this like cute design outside where they have all these like cement blocks that are supposed to be sitting areas, and then you walk in, it's this big wide open area and with all these windows and stuff, and that did not have maintenance in mind.
So
When
Mike,
it's like supposed to be a college campus photo of kids laughing and playing in the like over here in the sitting area and plants here and
3 years
but-
ago, we took on doing areas like that at Greater Lowell. We went to the Career Center and spoke to the Career Center people, the young adults, and we hire at Greater Lowell 5 kids after school. They clean the glass, they vacuum the floors. If
Amazing.
a custodian's out and we can't get the other ones to take the overtime, they go up, clean those areas, they strip floors, they do all that stuff. So, and the great thing is that we take kids who are low income, mostly minority kids, come in and they go to work, they earn money, they get their driver's licenses, and then they're able to go out on co-op, because that's the number one function that's a problem with a lot of kids today is, yes, they can get out on co-op, but how do they get there? When you look at the numbers.
that's a problem.
When I was on the board there, I fought for, and even had to file, I pushed that every month the co-op numbers for juniors and seniors would be in the packet, so we would know, like, what percentage of the seniors and juniors are out on co-op, and what actually is that number? The board voted, it was a 4-4 split, so the motion got voted down, so I filed the Freedom of Information Act for the numbers. I can get them every month, and every month I was gonna do that to them. So the superintendent at the time, and it's all documented on
John,
both sides.
there's marsh and jelly marsh in there. Be careful, because I put one marshmallow in there.
The superintendent at the time,
Excuse me.
Didn't want
This
it.
is more important, Eric. A lot of fun here.
That's right.
the superintendent at the time didn't want those numbers released because they were so poor. They were under 11%. Today, when you look at that number, it's at almost 50%
Yeah, we're
of
at
our
40.
seniors and
Well,
juniors are
if
right
I
there.
put the seniors and juniors together, we're at 52% as of last week.
Yeah.
47% seniors,
Out
6%.
at work with their driver's license. So going back to what Corey said, you know, there are functions that if somebody reached out to, say, the Career Center, they could get kids after school to help the custodial staff meet the needs of the building in, you know, some way, as long as they were directed right and trained right. we make sure these kids also, in order to work for me, you have to be able to make the honor roll every time. You can't be a discipline issue. If there's a discipline issue, I'm not hiring you. And, you need to dress appropriately for that type of work.
It's a bit heavy-handed, don't you think? I mean,
It can get challenging.
no, I mean, of course it's not. It's just, Desi would walk through and be like, how dare you?
Couldn't some of the nonprofits in Lowell, out of the 74 or 84, whatever you have, come up with a plan that they could mandate, that they could help the students, that they could work with the funnel some of that money? So
They'd
that they
need more
could,
employees and more studies and more.
I think
I don't know if
was it CTI? Not CTI.
The Career Center?
Yeah, the Career Center's giving you the kids, right?
Yeah.
The money comes out of this. So the Career Center does do it. You just got
It's
to
a grant,
approach.
so they have to, like, this week, they have worksheets. They got to do every Friday. They have to be done and sent to them. And they're questions about work environments and question how to do things, and they do that at the same time. But at the end of the day, that Career Center, I can't say enough on how they change people's lives. One of the kids went off to UMass Lowell for engineering. Another one's working at an engineering company, and she's now going to go to UMass Lowell for engineering. You got another one who didn't have a means to get a driver's license or anything. He got his driver's license. He got a co-op job, and now he's out at being a carpenter in a lumber yard.
but these are all kids at the Voc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a program
Can't
that I put
kids at
together.
the Lowell High do this?
I'm sure they can if somebody wants to take on the challenge, and they got to work with the union so that the union okays them working in their environment.
Ah, the union.
that's a sticky subject.
See, I don't know
Right.
how,
I don't
I don't know how
understand.
Lowell would do it.
I think the
What?
VOC has a,
Better relationship.
yes, and they already do the putting kid into the workforce type
Right.
work. So I think it works very good there, which is awesome. But
Most
we're,
of the kids-
we're a long way
no,
from doing
no,
that.
wait,
in
Most of
wait,
the kids are
wait.
going off to college, though,
wait.
from this program, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Years ago, years in the 70s, when Youth Corps was first involved, they sent kids to facilities to do things. That was part of what Youth Corps was,
Yeah.
but it was a summer program primarily. But we have so much money going into nonprofits, and Lowell, can't they have something that will at least produce results? That's my complaint with the nonprofits. They make a living off the poor, they give them just enough so that they can get by, not that they're successful, and they don't have to, nobody says, oh, by the way, how many, except for the Bridge House, how many success stories do you have?
Keep going, Linda.
You saying,
Keep going.
You're saying poverty is a big money,
The program
It's
is
a big, yes,
big business poverty, isn't it?
yeah.
the program is multifaceted because, like, I'll put them with the electrician. If they have a background in HVAC or electrical, or they want to learn that, the kid will say, hey, can I work with, say, Paul for the day? Our electrician, I'll say, okay, yeah, no problem, go with Paul. And then he'll come back and say, oh, can I have that kid again? Because they see the aptitude, they see that there's a drive. We put one kid out, he's an electrician right now from doing that program. He was in electrical, came, worked with him all summer. He teaches them how to bend the pipe and do all of the things that we need done, and it works. So I think that the initial investment into the workforce is the most important. It actually trains people on how the work, that effort that's going to be responsible for your future. And I think that that's what we try to give them.
There's two programs I'm kind of happy about. It's the program Eric's mentioning with the kids, and the other's the After Dark with the high school. Because to me, watching the Lowell High kids come in, and it's a commitment. It's like wrestling, it's like basketball, it's like football. You're coming in there from, after school at Lowell High, say 2:30 to 5:30, and you're learning a trade Monday through Friday. Whether it be HVAC, welding, auto tech, and these kids are coming in and they're doing it. Now we're down to only 19 kids across 3 trades, which I can't figure out for the life of me. I don't know where we're missing these kids. And but
Is that,
19.
so is it, the numbers are down right now?
Yeah,
Is
the
that-
numbers are down, and I'm going to tell you, Desi's not making it any easier.
Oh, Jesse.
No, they're not
Don't
making it.
even
Look,
get me
there's two
going
things that
on
go on
Desi.
with me with Desi right now. They're not making it any easier because if we want to create another shop, say we want to do masonry. Desi's going to do a walkthrough through masonry and say, okay, well, we need to fix this, even though the shop's been there from the beginning of the school was built.
Tell
And
Desi to go
Oh,
home.
listen, don't get me going with Desi, because now they want to throw the lottery down our throats. We're going to get a lottery system for admissions out there, which when I was at Greater Lowell, we had a lottery for admissions. It didn't work. People dropped out. We're getting kids with 30, 40 absences in the building. It's not going to work. The admissions policy is fair and
Shocking.
equitable, and fair and equitable across the board at Greater Lowell. We're a majority minority school.
This
DESE is a
Massachusetts,
communist organization.
It's crazy.
did they just try
They
to
are.
make everything unsuccessful?
are.
Look at, I can't understand, Mike, and this is, your mother did a big study out there way back when on the lottery, because I talked to her
Yep.
at length with Manny Minneapolis, who I like to think the people on this board, Eric, Shirley Hebert, Kathy Cannell, Kathy Dillon, Manny Minneapolis, I think they know a lot about vocational education. You know what I mean? I think they're pretty good at what they did. They did a study. The lottery, they came up with the lottery didn't work, so we went to.
You know what the difference between them and DESE is? They actually cared about kids.
Well, I can't.
They really did. And when you think about
They still
DESE,
do.
they care about making policies, drinking coffee, and shaking the governor's
I'm not
hand.
saying this because Mike's sitting next
It's
to me.
crazy.
Kathy's retired. She doesn't have to take my phone call. She doesn't have to take Jill's phone call. She doesn't take anybody's phone call. She's retired. And then when I saw her, I'm like, they're going to bring the lottery back. We're going to get forced down our throat. I sat there for 45 minutes with her, listening to her, everything. I said, where's this study? She thinks it's up in guidance. So now we're going through guidance, looking for it.
Good luck.
Linda, my mother found, right, so they're trying to go from having some standards to bring kids into the voc, right? You got to have some performance in middle school with discipline, your grades, all around
And attendance.
decent human being, right? They want to go to a lottery to make everything fair, the same crap that we do in Lowell Public Schools. My mother found in her time there, the kids that wouldn't have qualified on the standard side, okay, 0 of them graduated from the voc. Kids that got in through the lottery that didn't meet the standards that the voc sets, very minimal standards. Show up, don't get in trouble, pass. Right? Pretty fair for all kids. 0 of the kids that got in that didn't meet those standards ended up graduating from the voc.
Not to mention,
So
So
you know
why
what-
are we sending kids there that are never going to graduate
Because
from
the
school
spaces are limited.
to make everything fair? And so we're taking a spot from a child who does meet those minimum standards, giving it to somebody who's never going to graduate.
Only in Massachusetts.
Listen from the audience.
We don't need schools.
Jeff Thomas now has not put his name to things.
No, that's not from Jeff.
I was kidding.
well, I can tell you, Greater Lowell, I hit this from when we were.
Jeff, come on.
Now, obviously, I sit in the school committee, so we're going through the COVID thing, and I'm like, look, the kids need to be here every other week. We need them every other week, because I don't know anybody that can remote learn, that can mix some.
Well, I never wanted anybody cutting my hair that was doing it remotely.
Well, exactly. So, Linda, and I also hit him with this one. I'm like, hey, how are we going to teach a kid how to mix cement in his bedroom to lay bricks? We can't.
What
It just
percentage?
doesn't.
What percentage of DESE workforce is actually
Back now?
working?
I'm
Are they
wondering.
back?
That's a great.
We should look up what percentage currently.
One of the major misconceptions of a vocational school is that they can put anybody in them. And one of the biggest misconceptions is if you're a plumber, you still have to pass a plumbing exam.
Well, you have to
You
be
have to
there.
pass electrical exams. You have to
So-
understand the background. Automotive to be
This is one of my
ASC
huge-
certified. Cosmetology and engineering. So when people say, you don't need to have a certain aptitude, you have to show up in order to learn this stuff.
Right.
And you have to, it's like a regular job. If you don't show up 10 days at a regular job, I'm sure you're not going to be
So
here.
Mike hit the nail on the head about this. Where DESE thinks it's a DEI thing. It's fair across the board. Everybody gets a trophy, right? Well, what DESE's not looking at, we have a majority minority school. We have more minorities in the school than probably beside Lowell High, obviously. I mean,
Not good enough, according to
and
them.
that's what's driving me insane.
Not
and
good
they're
enough.
saying it's discriminatory. And I'm like, what was discriminatory is when a vocational school turns around and has an interview process to get in. Use the kids, and I'm not picking on kids in the city of Lowell. There's a reason why we're one of the top poorest schools in the state. Okay, you have an interview process. Do you think a kid in Lowell, and I'm not going to pick an area, use area X, neighborhood X. is going to come in with a suit, coat, and tie to interview to get into grade Lowell like it's a job. If he doesn't, I could say bounce that kid. I'm going to give him, say, out of 30, 5 points. That's discriminatory. All we ask is if you're out of school, get a note getting it excused. Go to the sending school, use the school across the street, hand it to the principal. It wipes out the excuse. It wipes out the absence, you're excused. That counts 0. So if you're out 30 days and you have a doctor's note, 30 days, you're good.
If they wanted equity, we went to the cheerleading competition over the weekend, New England's. So our team qualified for the New England's. They go down there. They come in 4th place, which is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's the best finish.
Now you got to remember that they compete against the number 1 team, Greenwich, Connecticut. Multi-million-dollar, okay, your mother owns 6 of these gymnast places. And you look at Danbury, Connecticut. And then there was another one from Rhode Island. When you looked at the top 3 and you measured and you said, why did we come in 4th? You look at the money that these people spend, like in the process to get to where they are. In the area that we have, Michael will attest to with the gymnast stuff, we have some of the best resources for gymnasts in the state. No, we don't have the money, but they do it. The gymnasts who have these places do it for the love of these kids. And that's the same thing when you transfer over to Greater Lowell. When you look at these coaches and the hours they put in to help these kids, they're fighting against everything. These kids are out on co-op. They come back from a long day at work to go do their sport and everything. And when you look at what's going on out there, you have to understand you have to be dedicated to that education system. You can't just throw anybody in it. And it goes back to what everybody's saying here. And that's just one team. We had a kid come in only the 2nd person in the history of the school. He came in 2nd in New England's in wrestling as a sophomore.
We also had a girl play 6th.
Love that kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One's the best.
And
nicest
High
kid in
just
the
put
world, too.
Yeah.
a girl in who won
Tough
the
little
New
guy.
England's. So you're looking around here. We have a lot of great things going on.
Seated,
but Desi is trying to. They
Okay.
pick on the places that don't have the means of the money.
Well,
And if you look at your state legislators, look at every single one of them. Can somebody name one person besides Ratty Mom who ever graduated from a vocational school? Same thing with the city council. In the history of the city council, you know how many people have been elected as a city councilor that went to Greater Lowell Tech or any vocational school?
the intents are on you, I think.
2. There's never been a mayor as a vocational school kid. Because this isn't what they do. They don't come out here. They don't want to. They want to go to work.
Desi, for the people that are listening, what is Desi, number 1, and where do they come from? Who appoints Desi?
Well,
Who are these
while they're
people?
processing your question, this issue from the audience, the only time you can miss 10 days in a row, not get fired, is when you work for the government.
Can this person please put their name on these? These are good.
You're on a roll. I like it.
These are good.
So getting back to the absentees in the lottery, right? So Mike hit the nail on the head. A kid doesn't come to school 40 days, right? We don't have and contrary to popular belief out there, we don't throw kids out of Greater Lowell. Desi doesn't allow it. I just can't say,
Well,
hey,
again-
you're not coming to school, beat it.
I'm not kidding. Who
Who
are these people?
I don't, well, I don't even know who's the head of it anymore.
Well,
To
where
me,
are they appointed? Are they appointed by the governor? Are they appointed?
Yes.
Yes.
They're appointed by the governor.
so, in order to see, use cosmetology, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, right? They're apprentices, you gotta have your hours in order to start.
Oh,
your
yes,
apprentice program.
yeah.
So if you're not in school, you're not getting your hours.
Right.
Okay, so you're not hireable. And we're not gonna send you out to, a company looking for you, and I'll use Taft Plumbing, because I know Scotty hires, plumbers. I'm not gonna give Scott Taft a kid that's not gonna show up to work.
Yeah.
Because he's
Because
never
then he
gonna.
won't ask for another one.
Right, he's not gonna ask for another one. And it's just not, the lottery is not the way to go out there. And it's sad. And I mean, what's even sadder to me is you have someone on the vocational side of Desi not sticking up saying, this isn't gonna work. Let's fix what's broken out here.
Because
Let's-
they use race in their argument. And nobody, you got to have some guts to step up and
Are you going to run
argue
again?
against
Are you
that.
going to run again for school committee?
Not anytime soon.
So, Mike, the thing, you're right.
I was trying, Mike.
But here's the thing, Mike. Here's the thing with me with the race, right? I kind of chuckle about that because, again, I'm going to allude back to we're a majority minority school. There's no race factor at Greater Lowell.
There isn't.
There's no race factor. You walk in there, Linda, I'll take you to lunch anytime you want. Just tell me, I'll take the day off, we'll go to lunch. We'll stand in the hallway for 25 minutes and watch the change of the classes. And I want you to look at the people's faces.
The kids I hired after school,
It's-
the other day, one of them looked at me and goes, "Hey, mister." And I look at her, I go, "What?" She goes, "You know you're the minority right now, right?" I said, where are we going with this? I go to work.
It's just one of those moments. I
And
want
it was
you to
funny.
know I
It was
know.
funny. She was just like laughing at me, and I'm like, "You think that's funny?"
One of the fun times when the big kid wanted to meet,
Denaje.
wanted to meet Mickey, and
Yeah.
you had said to me, "Can we make this happen?" So I called Mickey. I'm like, "Hey, can you come out to the Vogue? I'm gonna buy some shirts and can you meet this kid? He really wants to meet. He doesn't think Erik knows you." And then he didn't know we were coming, and we just walked in and.
Oh, nice.
We got some of the best.
Oh, I like
He
that.
had no idea.
Some of the best
So,
pitches. DeMaggie's 6'2".
He's sitting there eating a slice of pizza. The kid's a big kid. He's sitting there eating a slice of pizza because Erik buys pizzas on Friday. And we come through the Jamie Costa's office, and Mickey's standing next to him. It took the kid about 30 seconds to look to his left. And
starts
the
jumping.
kid starts
Realize,
jumping up and
yeah.
down. Yeah, it was a pretty good scene. And then we were taking pictures. It was pretty good. He was taking pictures.
And that's what it's about, is trying to get these kids to understand that, and hopefully they give back to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's really what.
That's not a huge thing, but to him it was.
And hopefully
Right.
it gives back to someone else when he gets means to be able to do something for somebody he invests in. He never made the honor roll until he got in that program his junior year in high school.
I remember
he
his
made the
first
honor roll.
report
He
card.
comes down and he puts up this thing and says, "Look." I said, "Well, you better have it. You weren't going to have a job." And he goes, "Yes." So he left it on the thing. I took it upstairs and we framed it and put it back down and go, "Give that to your mother. I told you were smarter than what you were putting in." And he's a great kid, and he's
What's
going
he
to do
doing now?
phenomenal things. He works at a lumber company, and
he's doing the
he's
carpentry?
going back to school. So yeah, he's.
So Lee's got a skedaddle. We're gonna go to break. Anybody want to say anything before we go to break? Okay, no, shut
Well,
up.
we're so glad you're
Thanks.
back working.
Yeah, I have
Lee.
to go back. I got to go to work at 7:30. I got to go up to Haverhill. Those guys have been there all night, so I don't want to be that guy not relieving them.
I thought he was going to pull an Allen Iverson line when Allen Iverson
I don't
was,
practice.
practice. Who practiced? I thought he was going to do work. Who works?
So Lee, I'll send you a text when you're coming next, okay?
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Going to break. So look, if you want to have an announcement on City Life, all you got to do is just send me a text. Call me up. Whatever's good for you, I'll make it work. Moving right along here today is an opportunity. If you're in between careers, or you got a kiddo in your family that doesn't know what he or she wants to do, send them down to the Middlesex Community College Cafe, 33 Connie Square today. If you take out your smartphone, put it in camera mode, and zero in on this guy right here, it'll bring you to a website. Just register. There's going to be 60 companies down there today and tomorrow from 11 to 1 p.m. And get down there and see if you like any of those. They have government jobs are great. There's a pension. So consider, if you're in between jobs, consider taking a visit down to Middlesex Community College. But you got to register, so just go in on this guy. Moving right along here is Erik Gitschier's party. Erik, you want to talk about your party? Okay, so it's going to be a re-election campaign kickoff fundraiser for Erik Gitschier. One of our guests this morning, he's going to be this week, Thursday, March 27th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Mount Pleasant Golf Club. Hope to see you up there. Always a good time. The Tuskegee Airmen. Very proud of these guys. Saved a lot of lives during World War II. And I watched their movie. Fantastic group of people. I went to their training site down in North Carolina. And a fascinating group of guys. But Lowell is going to have a Tuskegee Airmen commemoration. And it's going to be this Thursday, March 27th at 5 p.m. in City Hall. And it's free. Second floor, the Mayor's Reception Room on Thursday, March 27th to celebrate the Tuskegee Airmen. Today is March 26th, which means the Lowell Senior Center is proud to have lunch 7 days a week. Every day we have a lunch. It's $2. Just show up at 10:30, go in the front door, and plunk down your $2. If you don't have the $2, you can eat for free. And today we're going to have a dinner. Today is the 26th. So we're going to have oven fried chicken. Right there. So every day they have different, and so good thing. The only rule is you got to be 60. You can live in Timbuktu. You can live in Tewksbury, Tingsboro, Drake. We don't care where you live. You just got to be 60 years and older. So happy to see you down there today. Going to have a health fair out in Tewksbury, April 9th. It's free at the Tewksbury Senior Center, 175 Chandler Street from 1 to 4 p.m. If you've got questions about this or you want some more information, call Susan Timmons. Her phone number's down here. Give her a call, and she'll be happy to enlighten you. Danielle McFadden, she's having a party. Slide this over just a little bit. So the committee to elect Danielle McFadden invites you to the school committee candidate at-large kickoff campaign Thursday, April 3rd, 5 to 8 p.m. at Mount Pleasant Golf Club, 141 Staple Street. Hope to see you up there. Spring Volunteer Fair at St. Anne's Church. If you're thinking about volunteering, this is a good place to go and visit, find out what volunteer agencies would like to have you participate with them. And it's going to be Saturday, April 5th, 9 to 12, at the St. Anne's Church, 8 Kirk Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. So if you want to volunteer, they'd be happy to see you. Taste of the Town. This is a really tasty event to go to. The Wilmington-Tewksbury Chamber of Commerce. Anybody can go to this. You just got to pay ticket prices there someplace. I can't see it, but $30 a person. And a lot of the restaurants in Tewksbury and Wilmington, they showcase their food. I go to this every year. I walk in there hungry. I walk out full. It's a real tasty event. It's a good time to meet a lot of small business owners in Wilmington and Tewksbury. It's a fun event, so consider it. It's going to be on April 8th, Tuesday, April 8th, 5 to 8 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn. Okay, this is our last announcement for today. Sixto de Jesus. He's having a campaign kickoff party at the Cato.
McDonough, Bowie 1814.
Wrong time for the phone to ring. Start over again. So, Thursday, April 10th, 6 p.m. Join us for Sixto de Jesus campaign kickoff party. He's running for city councilor at large. Cato at the Cato Asian Fusion, 72 Merrimack Street. That's downtown Lowell. So hope to see you. That's my last announcement. Linda, going back over to you. Put your mics back on, and here you go.
When's Mark's election in Tewksbury?
The 5th,
The 5th?
April 5th.
I'd have to ask him, but I know there's sign waving every weekend he has at town.
Oh, I wish him well.
Tewksbury's the 5th, yeah.
Yeah, next week.
Mark's coming
Yeah.
next week.
Oh,
I think he's coming next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's next weekend. And you could pull papers as a candidate in Lowell on June 10th. You get 6 weeks, I believe, to get 150 certified signatures. September 9th, if there's preliminary elections, would be when those are going to be. And November 4th is when the general election will be in Lowell.
are you hearing any interest?
Yeah, I mean, you always hear people, but hopefully they get a lot of people to run, and you can have good conversations like we had this morning here and try to look at different issues and what are people's perspectives on
Well,
the issues.
I'm going to go back. I think that the council has, to me, has really improved. I think you have a more diversified group and the interest. I'm just seeing the neighborhoods getting a better cut of the pie.
I think we have. I mean, when you look at everything in general, you look at, I think we're investing in solid places that are going to have long-term savings if they give them time to actually work. You have to keep investing in it. You can't just start something and then,
Right.
because Eileen Donahue or Tom Golden or Kevin Murphy started the program, you walk in and just say, I'm going to cut that program without doing it due diligence and just seeing the reasons why it was put there and what the outcomes are. So I think that's the...
Got two comments from the audience. The first one, we need Elon Musk to come to Massachusetts.
Who's Elon Musk?
I don't think the governor will allow it.
I don't think she will either. A question for Mike. Did they ever figure out what caused the fire on Central Street roughly a month ago? Downtown Lowell?
I'm not positive, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
I didn't talk to the arson guys.
Okay, thanks.
Have you been busy in the fire department?
Yeah, it's unpredictable.
Do
We're
you
always
get
busy.
do people get burning permits in Lowell to clean
There's
on the yard?
no outdoor burning in
No
Lowell.
outdoor burning.
No, there's not even a permit process for it.
I was driving up Adams Street last night to go to the city council meeting. There's a flame going. I look over, and someone has a pallet on top of their grill. I was like, what? They're burning a pallet on
That's
their grill.
interesting.
Yeah.
You used to be able to get away with saying that you're cooking, so people would, quickly throw a grate over their fire or whatever, come up with different ways to kind of get around it, but there's just no tolerance with it.
No
No
have
outside
fire,
burning whatsoever.
no fire pits?
Nope.
Really?
It's
Even if you buy a fancy one?
yeah. It's interesting because people don't understand that, and they're like, "What do you mean? We can't have a fire even if it's in a safe spot." Well, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of places in Lowell. There's a lot of land out in Pawtuckaville. Somebody could
Yeah.
easily have a place on their property that is safe, a well-functioning fireplace or fire type setup, and do that the right way. But it's the middle of lower Centerville or the lower Highlands where things are tight, and I've seen some some fires that I've actually gone to that really needed to be put out, and people can't be always trusted to burn
Yeah.
safely, number
That's
one,
true.
in the city. So, and I guess there could be some type of permitting process or something that would allow people to just enjoy themselves. But that's a tough one for us. We don't like going. We don't like going and putting somebody's fire out if they're doing things the right way and
Yeah.
having a good time. But it's kind of how we. That's how we operate.
Okay.
That's
Well,
what,
I guess
yeah.
it makes sense in the city. But
There are 22 communities in Massachusetts that do not allow
really,
outside burning whatsoever, and we're one of them. Yeah.
Most in the big cities?
must be cities, huh?
Not all of them, but there's Lynn in there, and so, certainly communities that there are plenty of properties in the city that I've seen people. One day we went to space between a garage and a house that couldn't have been more than 5 feet, and the guy had a barrel burning, and we could see embers going into the dry rotted wood of his garage,
Oh my goodness.
and he was burning stuff in a barrel in between, So that's the type of stuff that we
Well,
deal
that's
with.
the
So
other
it's-
thing,
But then
I-
also, you go to somebody's backyard and there's a couple sitting there just having a fire and a glass of wine, and they're like, "Are you serious?"
But no common sense.
which is
but
tough for
a
us.
barrel
but-
burning with no grate, nothing over it. I mean, what do you think is going to happen to that paper? It's going to.
Well, we got people that do a lot of crazy things every day, so
Well,
if you
that's
can
true.
imagine,
It's no law against being stupid. I
Yeah.
know.
Here's the crossover of two worlds, Tingsboro and Lowell.
yeah, I know, right?
You have different thoughts than the most average Lowell person.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're
But
used to
on the other
that,
hand, you can
the
have
wildlife.
chickens in law.
We can't.
You can't have
No.
chickens.
No.
I thought you could have chickens.
No.
No chickens.
No chickens.
Not legally. You can burn in Lowell
There is
too.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I
We
mean-
allow that.
Can I use my fire pit for cooking?
No, you can't even have one in Lowell. So, okay.
Good, right?
You know what, Motto? If you don't like it here, move.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the current SOP because I don't think any fireplaces. There was a time a couple years ago where it's like a certain type of fireplace that you could purchase, but I don't think even built-in grill type.
Wow.
It can't be an open flame unless it's in a grill.
Well, even I know a lot of apartment buildings, you can't even have a grill.
Well, yeah,
People
because
can't be trusted to
well,
even do that
You
well.
can't use your grill on your porch or a deck.
Yeah.
I mean, people do that often, like a second floor porch off of an apartment building. That stuff can't happen.
No. It can't? Oh, gee.
Yeah, I know.
Shouldn't.
It's funny. Well, yeah, there's another deck 6 feet above
above
their head, you know.
Wow. Well, I can't
And
believe
you know
I
what the
think
other
of
thing
that.
that people don't even think of is the smoke. First of all, if you don't know how to build a proper fire that's not going to smoke all over the place. I mean, even in a situation where you don't think you bother your neighbors, if the windows are open, like, they're getting smoke in their kitchen a
Yeah,
lot of times.
yeah.
And so that, you know, it brings on neighbor disputes, I'll tell you, because
Well, it's the
most
neighbors
of
who
the time,
tattle.
we, you know, we're not going around looking for campfires in people's backyards, but if, you know, we get calls on it, and it's people ratting each other out.
Well, what about along the river and the homeless people? They have them, don't they?
The homeless can do whatever they want. No, we actually have
No
to go.
laws apply.
We have to go put them up. I walk up and down Broadway Street onto that bridge and go down to the water relatively often.
He's going to have the most interesting video the city has seen. I've seen a drone go over that area.
We
and
walk
when-
down there all the time.
When he goes a drone over it,
gross.
it's, whew,
Well, I've been concerned about the quality of your water, the river water.
it's
With them living there.
100-foot protected.
I mean, we have surge for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
so we won't, you know, we won't get typhoid.
It's a protected area. 100 feet from water is protected.
Yes.
And
Tell me
it's
about
not
it.
down there. And I don't know why some people can run recklessly, but if an average person did it, you know, on the beach over there, we'd have a major issue. But if you're across the street, you'll see what it looks like. It is pretty bad.
So what will happen now? So when they
We've gone to the
expose it-
state.
Ah.
We've been there. They keep giving us lip service, and we're still waiting for the lip service to be delivered. And the MBTA just keeps, they have no control over the MBTA. And we should find the MBTA. The city should come in and find
Well,
them.
when the
So
governor comes to visit, she came last week,
Yeah.
why doesn't anybody ask her about it?
You can't get that close. They have people push you away.
Yeah,
You
don't
can't
get
ask the governor
that,
questions?
you don't get that
No.
close to a governor. You know that.
not this one.
No.
Oh man.
All the questions are pre-staged, and they know the question before it's asked.
And we clean everything up for them to come
So-
in, and everything looks beautiful. Clean the common up for 3 days, and the governor comes in,
Yeah.
gives a press conference right in the middle of the common. It looks beautiful, and then she leaves, and nobody asks her about the homeless that were there 2 days ago. That's
And the
Xi
one she was
Jinping
bringing
coming
in.
to San Francisco.
So it's just it's a staged event, everything's fixed.
Of course.
You're only
how
gonna
I
see
see it.
peaches and cream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I mean, they let in people who are going to throw softball questions. If they don't, they're going to.
They're
Look
not
the other
invited again.
Right.
And they wonder why this generation.
That's why they don't come to your show.
They don't like the hard questions.
You know, certain people won't be here till it's
Yeah.
election season,
And even
That's
then,
right.
they don't want. Really, even then, they don't want to come.
and you know, because it's an off-the-cuff show. You can say whatever you want. Somebody can call in. They can say what they want, and you respond in an instant. There's no homework to it. There's no getting someone else's answer and sharing it. You know, this isn't the college way of doing things.
You mean you can't come in with pre-written answers to school committee meetings and read them
That you already rehearsed with
that
the
your lawyer friend
superintendent?
wrote for you?
That's it. And when you rehearse certain things with other people prior to meetings, no, you can't do that.
Do you think administration contacts elected officials outside of the meeting?
Of course they do. Yes.
Should that be okay?
If they don't go, well, see, there's a gray area.
So I'm a school committee man.
Yep.
The superintendent, I don't think he'd call me, but one of his underlings might call me and say, hey, you know what, we have this issue going on. Should that be legal, or should that person just go to the superintendent and let the superintendent talk to me?
Oh, you mean to start a conversation in
Or
public?
whatever, there's water in the cellar of the fire station. And the fire chief, he can't talk because he'll get fired. So that's never gonna go away.
Well, it should go away. Should go away.
Eventually,
quickly.
when there's no rain for a long time, it might dry up down there, but.
No, it should be, it's all fixable pretty easy.
Why don't they have
Under
some
drain in
pumps?
it, and you just put an under drain in it, and then go and seal the fire station foundation. But the crazy thing is, like, you take Gorham Street. Gorham Street had an empty lot right next to it for years. If the city had any way of planning back then, they would have planned, okay, let's build a new firehouse here and take this one down and sell that piece. They didn't. They sold it to someone else. Same thing with Branch Street. Right behind Branch Street has been an empty lot for, I don't know, 20 years? And you could have built a brand-new fire station there and taken down Branch Street. And you're still in the same footprint. But we don't have that knowledge.
Why don't
to
we
think.
build new firehouses?
That's what I'm saying.
That takes spending money to make
Well,
money down the
We have
road.
the money, we just
yeah.
spend
And
it
we
on
don't
hiring our
do that
friends.
well.
We spend it on hiring our friends. We don't do maintenance. We have buildings that are too small to fit the vehicles in there. By the way, what the hell are they doing? Kim Scott tried to explain to me what they're doing on the Lawrence Street firehouse. Apparently, the foundation's too weak to support the weight of the new truck.
The structure, the floor structure, yeah.
So the fire chief let us buy a new truck. The fire chief, who can be fired by the manager at any minute, was allowed to buy a new truck that can't go in the garage because the garage won't support the weight.
Right. And even the old truck, it's questionable on the weight.
Yeah, it was probably been an issue for a long time.
So
It's-
what the city in its wisdom is building a temporary garage.
A shelter, more or less.
I've said this before, we have for kind of a while now, when purchasing trucks, modified the truck to fit
building.
into the door. Instead of, even just lifting the door up 2 feet, in order to make
Now,
a nice clearance.
Hampton Beach is as old as the city of Lowell. Hampton Beach has been around a long, long time. They built a brand spanking new firehouse.
Sal built a nice building down there, too.
Brand spanking new
Really?
police station.
That's right.
The police station we have in the fire, the downtown, the JFK Civic Center, it's time to tear it down and put something new.
We don't have one firehouse that is in acceptable
And then
condition.
when a building burns down, use that plot of land to put a new firehouse. Why do we have to put the firehouse where it is now? Turn it into condos like we did over in Centerville.
We
Turn it
could
into
make changes.
Turn it into
to
condos.
locations.
Build a brand new fire station, brand new police station that the cops can be proud of, that the firemen can be proud of.
On Old Ferry, when I was with the water department, we were looking at part of the parking lot to the old Wang building. They could have just taken that building and shifted a new one over there and got rid of the other one. Because there's plenty of space in those parking lots that are never used. So, there is land, there's land across the street from, when
But we wouldn't be able to hire our friends. We spent that money, we couldn't hire our friends. So we can put a new firehouse, or do you want me to hire your sister?
Or you can look at it the other way. If you build new buildings, you need more friends.
That's right,
It's a positive thinking.
that's right.
That's how you have to present it.
You two,
I think you just found it. I think we just won it, John.
are getting on the same page.
I think we just won it.
So
We can
this,
get more friends with new buildings.
this temporary firehouse, did you guys pass this, or did the manager just decide to do it?
No, that's a manager function. That's a day-to-day operation function. So basically, all they did was build a tent on the side of the building.
It's not a tent.
At Greater Lowell, we had to build it twice for a concession stand, so the kids could actually work outside in the winter. So basically, it looks like the same thing. It's just like,
So Mike, you got a bedroom at your firehouse?
Yes.
How old are the windows? In your
They're,
bedroom?
they're particularly old in my whole
Were they
firehouse.
this century or last century or the 1800s?
They're,
Well, last
they're
century.
definitely not 1800s, but they are the same windows. We found pictures in my grandfather's basement not too long ago of the kitchen, him and a couple guys playing cards at the firehouse.
Yeah.
Same exact everything from 1983.
So
And the windows are way older than that.
this business of hiring our friends, it's got to stop. We got to build new buildings for our firefighters. We got to build a new police station for our police department. This is not going to. We're going to wait for more federal funds, and maybe we'll build a building.
well, that's what we built in Lowell. Don't you understand? That's what I just said to you at the very beginning of all of this conversation.
It's not
The
okay,
master
Eric. What you're
plan-
doing is failure.
No, the master plan is build more affordable housing and fill up the city with subsidies. that don't have disposable income to pay for any of these buildings. That's
More
the
buildings
plan.
that we can't maintain.
Exactly.
That are just gonna keep getting more
So
decrepit.
subsidies,
and-
let's
yeah.
get it built, let's build, because the builders make the money, they run. The housing is subsidized.
Not for profit.
We
Pay
don't
real
have
estate
any
taxes.
plan on getting jobs, and bringing jobs here that can actually sustain the costs. So what happens is you drain from the people who have the disposable income, create them so they don't have disposable income, and the whole thing,
This is Mara Healy's whole, provide incentive to take you down the wrong path and not look out for the future and just continue draining money into projects that are useless, and then, but keep giving the incentive. So you
But
keep doing
not
these
enough
projects
for them
because you're
to be
getting
successful.
kickbacks and, man.
Well, the
Well, they're making
affordable,
money.
the affordable housing, I mean,
Sure.
it was a joke, what they
But
did in Tingsboro.
that's it, and they're running with it.
But they're ruining the municipality in the long
Of
run.
course, yeah, I agree.
Short-term gains to keep everybody entertained and everybody voting, but the municipalities are just crumbling.
They're playing at immediate gratification with no long-term outcome.
Yeah.
So they're playing on everybody's sympathy. Oh, we need housing for all these people. No, well, why don't we stop giving people everything, create jobs so people can actually work, and then give the cuts to the companies that come in so that we can gain their revenue from the work that they provide to outside our state, and then feed our
It's just like
state.
the $50 kickback for your utility bill.
Right,
you
yeah.
know, it's like-
And you pay
It's like
75 back.
utility relief. Thanks a lot, Mara.
I'm paying
Yeah.
75 back in the end because it's on interest.
And we have to pay interest. How
Yeah,
bizarre is
that's
that?
Well, when you don't, she probably doesn't even write her own checks. That's the problem is, we got to a place in society where it's a feel-good moment with no long-term outcomes. And the long-term outcomes are a disaster.
Well, when they did the affordable housing along the river, which because it was a 40B, they didn't have to meet any of the regulations. So it's in the floodplain.
Yeah.
Which, when Trahan built them, he actually offered to give them sump pumps. Wasn't that a clue? A clue? And now and they didn't even know what a sump pump was, so they didn't take them, and now they're all flooded. And it's supposed to be family housing next to the railroad tracks.
That's what they did in Belvedere.
Send your
They-
children off to play in the railroad
They gave
track.
check valves in Belvedere and said, we'll hold the waste out.
Bobby Hoy wants to say hello. Good
Hey,
morning,
Bobby Hoey.
Good morning, Linda. You got a great show there. You got two of my favorites. Get up off the couch and elevate your heart. Mike Dillon, I love you, buddy.
Morning.
And Erik,
Morning,
last
Bob.
night I watched. Listen, John, we have to get the people watching the city council meeting. I watched that last night, and I never seen the city manager so upset. I think he was talking directly to Erik, but what a show last night. I almost finished a whole bag of popcorn just watching that one issue. It was unbelievable. So, people, if you want to see what's going on in the city of Lowell, watch the city council meetings, period. Erik, great job. I'll see you at your party tomorrow night.
I'll see you, Bob.
5:30, right?
5:30, yep, at Mount
Okay,
Pleasant.
buddy. Keep up the
Okay.
good work for me, will you, bud? Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob. Yep, bye.
Bye.
So,
To the audience, Erik, is the Lowell Connector Park area off the right of the Target Plaza parking lot, public space?
off the
Do I have
air,
to-
Tire Plaza parking lot.
How do I shut this
I
off?
don't know where they're
Need some more
talking about.
details of
Yeah.
what it is? Okay. Moving right along, didn't the city have to send back fire trucks because they didn't fit in the station? Point number two, don't forget the CPA funds. I gotta put my mic on.
Sorry, don't forget thank you, Linda. That's okay.
Yeah, I agree with that last statement, John.
Don't forget the CPA funds that are being used for housing instead of preserving the community, like the apple orchard in Centerville.
We didn't have any city projects put in for the CPA money. And now they want to increase the funding that you pay towards it. And I'm not in favor of that. Until we start putting more into the CPA, into open space, I'm not for that.
Another great show. Thanks, Mike, Lee, and Linda for getting up early. The donuts look delicious, and they are, Bart. Thank you.
Are we
That's the
done?
last
But
one. Go
the
back to
thing that
Lowell.
really will get people upset in that whole Lapoli, the whole executive session piece is, again, Lapoli did not live up to his agreement. They said they didn't want to litigate, so they accepted his proposal of 5. They didn't want him to do it, so they made him, he basically handpicked who the next developer was for the city. The city didn't handpick them. He told them what they could get and what they did, and that's what was accepted. The city at no time negotiated by the city council how many floors, how many units, or anything.
Who decided that?
Lapoli. And because the city didn't want to litigate and said it was his property,
Well-
so he can do what he wants with it, but that was not the case. He did not adhere to any of the LDA that was in place, timelines or anything that was set forth. We were told that the LDA was weak and we couldn't litigate it, which you can litigate anything, and we didn't want to wait the time frame, so we'll accept a parking garage, or, basically another 5-story apartment building.
What about your
That's
city
it was.
council, about the legal department? Let's talk about that.
They gave the advice, they've given advice over the same time. They gave advice to one counselor that he was in violation of the conflict of interest, but he did what he wanted anyway. When the legal gave this advice, they said, we're just going to listen to legal because we don't want to litigate and take any more time down there because it looks like you're failed when you do that. If it takes time to build, it looks like you're a failed council because it's empty. But the out was, the vision for the city was 13 stories. And if anything changed, the city residents should have had input on that.
Yes.
And we didn't. The city council didn't.
Well, the whole jam plan, it goes, I've been hearing about the jam plan since Bob
Beverly
Clark.
Anthes wants to say hello.
Good
Beverly
morning.
Anthes, hello.
Good morning. How are you all?
Good morning, Beverly.
Morning.
I've watched since 6 o'clock. I can't believe it. I actually got up that early. But I want to say to you, Eric, I can't be at your party Thursday night
Yep.
because it'll be the first time I'm missing one of your parties.
Well, that's okay. We'll miss
Something's-
you.
You're not coming up from Connecticut just for the party?
No, I was just there this past weekend.
We do miss you.
Oh, I miss all of you. I do. But something's in the mail for you, so look for the postman if he gets there. I don't know if he'll get there from here to there now.
Well, thank you as always.
Oh, my pleasure. Listen,
And,
you're doing a good...
April 4th
And-
is still my favorite
and-
day.
And happy birthday to you, because it's coming up.
And I miss calling him and sharing that day with him. He will always be
I
one of my
always
favorite.
remember your birthday.
Yes. That's how we all
We can never
remember.
forget that.
No.
Well, I was talking to your mother a week ago, and I was saying that I didn't think I would be able to be coming up, but I pop up every so often. So,
Yes, it was good seeing you.
Enjoy your stay. Keep doing a good job. Work hard as you always do. You're the hardest working counselor.
Well,
And
it's because I love the city, and hopefully Mike was the
I
same way
know.
on the school committee. And we both did it for free, and we did it because we wanted to make a difference in people's lives. So hopefully we're
I
making
know,
that
yeah.
difference, and we're challenging people to be better.
well, good luck. And Linda, I'll be talking to you.
Hope to see you soon, Bev. Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love
Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Beth.
Bye.
Just leave the phone there, Lynn. So Beverly, I hope your cold is better soon.
Yes.
Good to hear from you. Comment from the audience, where did the people from the UMass Inn and Conference Center go?
They're still there.
Can you,
Where'd they go?
population's way down. Word on the street is Trump's gonna kick them all out. And Trump is communicating with them right now. You can leave on your own, find your way back to your country, or we're coming for you. And I'm gonna guess they're saying, well, they know where we are. If we're here, we've gotta get out of here. That's my guess. I don't know officially. Eric, anything come down from the manager about what's going on with the citizens there?
Not a word.
And the school department, are they still going to school or no words?
No, last night we voted to send legislation over to waive the homeless, for the homeless transportation piece. They still have to follow procurement, so we're trying to look for a ruling that we don't have to follow that, so we can actually.
That was ridiculous. Kim was talking about that last week. The amount of
McKinney Vento
money.
Transport? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. It's a major cost, and it
Well,
came from
it's
the
an
federal
insane cost. It's insane. If you move, or you and Mike move to the South Shore,
Button just hit that button.
oh, they're not
Means
gonna
it's 10
pay
minutes left.
to bus your children because it's a, they have to adjust.
But yet, if Mike Dillon moves from the city of Lowell to, say, Brockton, he doesn't get free transportation for his child to come back.
No.
If your child is under McKinney-Vento,
Right.
they've got
You
plenty
do.
of adjusting to do in their life, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah, this problem.
a change of school
Isn't least-
is not necessarily their biggest concern. It might be a good thing for them, in
Yeah.
a lot of cases. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when they put them in the conference center, supposedly they walked all the way from South America. That must have been sort of an adjustment for them. I mean, this can't be that major.
I mean, potentially, and the idea is that they're in a better situation,
Of
right?
course
I mean,
they-
we're trying to create a better
Yes.
opportunity for them, and they're here, and we're transporting them long distances. It's got to at least be controls on it.
Go, yeah,
I think.
negates the whole situation. So,
I think he must be off by now.
we're off the air. Oh, my goodness. Thank
We're
you for
st- We're
coming.
still on Facebook. and-
Oh, well, thank you for getting up. I appreciate it. Love the show. Love
Well,
you
thank
guys.
you for having me.
Good to see you, Eric.
Good seeing
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Thanks
Thank
for
you
watching.
as always. Thank you, John.
We'll see you tomorrow.